What is mindfulness? Mindfulness, the word, means awareness. So being aware. Now you could argue that we are all aware, are we not? We are aware of that we're alive. But actually a lot of the time, are we really aware fully? Are we actually, really engaging with what's going on? And when we think about this awareness, what comes into this is awareness of what's going on right now, in perhaps this moment right now. Do you notice? Are you fully aware of what's going on? Are you aware of how you feel in your body? Are you aware of your breathing? Are you aware of everything that you can see and experience in the room around you? Are you actually aware of the different sounds that are around you and the temperature of the air in the room right now? And the answer to that is normally that at first we think, actually, we're not so aware. And I've realized that actually I've been in a state of unawareness until now. And so mindfulness is about tuning into those senses. So how we become more aware and more attentive to the present moment is by engaging with our senses. So we have 5 senses that we recognize. So those are your touch. So how do you feel noticing the clothes against your skin? Perhaps then moving on to hearing. What do you hear? Sounds in the room. Smell. What are you smelling? Your taste in the mouth. Perhaps is there something going on? Can you taste something in your mouth right now? And then obviously you're seeing as well. What are you seeing? So going through those senses. Now mindfulness originally, it's quite old mindfulness. It's actually no new thing. It's about at least 2,500 years old, if not much older than that, and really has a lot of its roots in Buddhism. But this isn't a Buddhist teacher training course, and everything that we're doing is completely secular in nature. And that's so really people feel that they can fully engage in this. So when you're working in your groups and you're working with participants, that we're not ruling anyone out. You can bring your own religion to this and your own spirituality. But what we're teaching is completely secular in nature, just so people are clear with that. So Jon Kabat-Zinn, and you will be hearing his name a lot along the way of this teacher training course. Jon Kabat-Zinn, he first developed the MBSR, the mindfulness-based stress reduction program. He describes mindfulness as paying attention on purpose to the present moment, non-judgmentally. And then he added this other bit at the end. He said, as if your life depends on it, which is an interesting idea, isn't it? So as if your life depends on it. And arguably you could say, well, is my life really being lived unless I'm actually aware of the present moment, unless I'm actually taking in what's going on? We spend so much of our life in a state of unawareness, don't we? Also, very much not being aware of the present moment, particularly. We so often are either thinking about what is to come, perhaps worrying, particularly maybe at the moment with everything that's going on, perhaps worrying about things that might be coming up. What we've got coming up later today, perhaps. What's going on in your teacher training course so far, what's going to be coming up. What's coming up for you in the next year or so. So we're often projecting ourselves forward mentally into the future. And we're also doing this in the past constantly. We're ruminating. We're going over things that have just been. For instance, maybe what's just happened this morning. You're waking up. What happened last week? What happened 20 years ago? Perhaps going over things. And we do this all the time. It's part of really being human, and there's nothing wrong with that. But mindfulness is really about noticing the mind, its tendency to go either into the past or into the future. And what we're really concerned with is actually noticing the present moment. So can you come back to the present moment now? And again, just notice what's going on. And another way of being mindful is also tuning into the Buddhist thing. In Buddhism, we think about this idea of the sixth sense. There is this sixth sense, and it is the mind. And it's very important as well when we're thinking about mindfulness to think about what is going on in your mind. So being aware of your mind, being aware of your thoughts, which is strange really. If you can be aware of your thoughts, then perhaps you can get a little bit of distance from them. Perhaps you can just notice them. Perhaps you can notice them and actually not get lost in them. Perhaps just see them as what they are, just simply a mental event that's just popped into your mind and is now just going to eventually fade away. So perhaps beginning to notice your thoughts. Also, when we think about mindfulness, often this idea of being comes into this as well. Being rather than doing. So you're moving into the realm of being. We're very good at do all the time as human beings. We're constantly planning all the time. You know, what can I do next? If there is a spare moment at all, we want to fill it. But we're asking people to perhaps think about moving into that realm of just simply being. And a lot of this really is about giving people the chance to allow themselves this space to just simply be, just to be who you already are. And that is actually enough. Isn't that lovely? It's a lovely gift that you're giving someone. But this is also hard work, actually. Mindfulness is not an easy thing. It's tied into the idea of being a practice, really, and a discipline in some ways, because you need to practice this. You can't just suddenly just decide, oh, I'm going to be mindful from now on. Now I know. I wish someone had told me about the idea of being present. I'll just be present from now on. Of course, it isn't really like that. And actually, our mind constantly wants to take control, really, and move us either into the future, into the past. And so it's a real challenge to kind of just sort of be aware, to perhaps be awake. Can you be awake in your life? Are you actually really awake right now? Are you actually half asleep? So can I be awake fully in my life and engage in my life in some way? So that's a little bit about what mindfulness is. Along the way, we are going to be exploring what mindfulness is more and more. And so I really hope that you've got an idea. I'm sure you do. And I'm sure, I wish I could hear all of your ideas of what mindfulness is and what it is for you, crucially, because it is what it's about, isn't it? It's about what is it for you? That's the important thing. So so thank you for watching this, and I will be please keep watching, and there'll be lots of more videos to follow. Thank you. Bye bye.